Welcome to the Bikini Things podcast, where we talk everything from fitness and competing to mental health and living a healthy lifestyle. I'm your host, IFBBPro, Laura Morche, here with my co-host, IFBBPro, Sammy Joe. We're so happy you're here with us, and let's start it. How are you, Sammy?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
I
Merry
guess
Christmas. It is
the
2 days
27th
post Christmas. Yes.
was Christmas, but since we didn't hang out on actual Christmas.
Yeah. How was your Christmas?
It was good. It was a very low key, chill day. The weather was nice, so got a good glute workout at the gym first thing. Cooked a nice dinner for myself and Rafa. I put Frankie in a Christmas sweater, so he looked hilarious. Yeah.
That's
So it
awesome.
was good. It was a good day. It was just very, very laid back.
Yeah, I'm literally jealous that your gym was open because mine was not. And I did like a Christmas Eve workout, but I didn't do a Christmas Day workout, which not a big deal, whatever. But if it was open, I would have went for sure.
Yeah. Well, next time let me know. Yeah, Revival in Santa Ana for anybody who does live in Orange County, California or visits. It's open 24 hours. So if you have a membership, you just scan with your phone. So it was actually there was a good group of people there Christmas morning.
Yeah. We have an EOS opening up by my house, which is supposed to be 24/7. So hopefully
hmm
it's truthfully 24/7 and then I won't have that problem. But
Yeah.
that gym looks so nice. So I'm definitely
Yeah.
going to take you up on that
Oh
offer.
my gosh. Actually, yes. Come through sometime soon because they got some new equipment since I was there last. I probably hadn't been there for at least a month. They have the glute builder, they have some glute builder pieces, and they have the glute builder hip thrust machine where it looks like a little mini Smith machine. It is, Sammy, it is my favorite hip thrust machine I've ever used.
Yeah.
Ever.
I would definitely hip thrust. Well, I mean, obviously hip thrusts are in my plan. I would look forward to hip thrusts more if I didn't have to do it on a Smith machine.
I hate Smith machine hip thrusts. Is that all you have at LA Fitness?
We have I mean, I could do barbell, but I feel like if I had to pick between barbell and Smith machine, I always pick Smith because it's just easier to set up. We only have 2 Smith machines, and then we have like a cage squat rack and then a squat rack. That's it.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
It's
See,
tragic.
my least favorite is actually probably Smith machine. Because I feel like the angle for me doesn't work. I think I'm a little too tall.
Yeah.
Because when you're thrusting, the bar moves away from you. So most Smith machines that I have access to, they're just straight up and down.
Okay, yeah, ours goes in like a slight has like a
Yeah.
slight angle to it.
Yeah. Most of the I'm trying to think Revival, Psycho's gym, etc. They're all vertical. So it never feels that great. It feels like I'm doing a lot of pelvic tilting,
Yes.
which I don't like. This machine, I took a video of myself, Sammy, I recorded myself doing it for the first time. And I literally I do my set and I push it away and my face it's like a cartoon character or something. I'm literally like
The shock.
yeah, literally. So it's so freaking good. They also have the glute builder kickback machine, which I posted last week when I went to Glute Lab.
Mhm.
They have the same one at Glute Lab where it has a long bar and you put your foot on it and just kick back
Yeah.
and your other knees supported. So I really like that one because a lot of the traditional glute kick machines that you have at 24-hour fitness and stuff, the mechanics, for me at least, I feel a lot of quads on those. I don't feel like they're the best for glute. So yeah, so you should come by Revival sometime. They've gotten
For
some new
sure.
stuff. It's good vibes. You can check out my really cool competition picture on the wall because I'm so cool and so awesome.
Wait, that's so fun.
It is fun. Yeah, they have pictures of everyone that competes and either works out there or works there on the wall.
Mhm.
And then they have a wall of Mr. Olympias and Arnold winners and stuff.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll
So
definitely plan for that.
but yeah, so that was my Christmas. It was nice. And this week too, it's typically more of a mellow week. A lot of my lifestyle clients you might skip their check-ins and stuff. So even just getting stuff done around the house feels kind of good.
Yeah, for sure.
So how about you? Anything coming up before New Year's or any other plans with your family or celebrations that you have going on?
No, I threw Chris a surprise birthday party last weekend. We did Top Golf. I told him that we were double dating with friends, and then when we showed up to their house, a bunch of our friends were there, and we got a party bus just so no one had to worry about driving home after. So that was really fun. He was super shocked.
Great.
And
I love that.
yeah, it's nice because obviously, I don't know, having your birthday be on Christmas is super shitty. it's every like the month of December, everyone's usually so busy. So it was nice to like actually lock everyone in for a date, and we had a decent turnout. So that was a lot of fun. And then just family over for Christmas Day. We were going to go bowling, but we ended up not, which was nice. Honestly, I stayed in my PJs all day long. It was magical. And then we have an ugly sweater party tomorrow. And that's like the last Christmas thing that we have.
Nice. Nice. Cool. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, our topic today is it's a good one. We wanted to talk about the fit model division. That I know there's been a lot of discussion going on. I think I have the nice perspective of being a little bit more of an elder in the sport. So I've been around since bikini looked different than it does now. So we have a
Yeah.
little bit of that context. And Sammy and I are obviously both coaches. So we're going to also give our perspectives on who the division is sort of intended for, or who like genetically is going to be a good candidate for this, and also how to strategize. Cause maybe I think there's a lot of women that are considering both bikini and fit model.
Hmm.
I even had a consultation with a gal yesterday who really wants to do wellness, but she was like, still asking questions about that. Like, hey, should I be doing this one if I'm not lean enough? Or so there's definitely a lot of interest. So what was, out of curiosity, Sammy, what was your first thought or first reaction when you heard the announcement 2 weeks ago?
So when I first heard the announcement, I was kind of shocked. I'm not going to lie. Cause I was like, okay, all of a sudden, like we have this new division. And I feel like respectfully, there could have been a lot more criteria, information, specifics kind of put together before it was announced. That was my first thought. But then, like, the more I heard about it, the more podcasts I listened to on it, I was like, you know what? This can actually be very beneficial. Like, this might not be where we thought the direction was going, but it was necessary, especially once they kind of, you know, labeled it as like the entry level and made the decision that you can't kind of double dip into both, categories. It made a little bit more sense, but definitely like a little shock at first, like all of a sudden.
Yeah,
But the more I
yeah,
thought about it, it made more sense. What about you?
definitely. I was surprised, to be honest. Probably like a lot of people. I sort of knew they were probably going to have to do this. I feel like within the last year, I've started being a little bit more open about just kind of talking about why bikini's changing, what's going on, like what do pros really do to look the way we look, or to be competitive,
Mhm.
etc. And so I knew they were going to have to do this just because honestly, and I've spoken pretty openly about this. I do think that the drug use in bikini has just gotten really high, just in general. I'm not talking about myself or anyone specific. And the look of bikini, not only was the drug use so high, but the look of it was changing. And I noticed this probably within the last 2 years, maybe around
Mhm.
2022, maybe a little bit in 2021, but probably 2022 is when I started to notice more amateur competitors having visible signs of masculinization and virilization. And I'm talking young ladies, like young women in their 20s at local shows. And just as a fellow woman, there's a small part of me that's concerned, right? And people can hate on me all you want for my voice, or for any ways you want to say my appearance has changed as well, but it does make me concerned when you see young women changing themselves in a visible way, because these drugs also have internal impacts too. It's not just impacting only our external appearance, they're doing things to our internal health, our body, our reproductive system, etc. And there was no slowing down in the trajectory of bikini. It's like each year it's more muscle mass, it's harder, it's denser. Like no matter what we want to say, no matter what the judges want to say about the criteria, look at the photos. Athletes, like it's a mix. The judges over time picked more muscular girls, picked more muscular of a look. And us as athletes, we wanted to win, and we saw that, and we, adjusted what we were doing, whether it was our cardio or our training or your anavar dosage or whatever,
Yeah.
to try to accomplish that and be competitive. So I think this is a lot sooner than I expected, but I do think this is a necessary step. And actually I think it's a good move on the IFBB. I know there's a lot of like hate or like, oh, this isn't really bodybuilding, but women, we have more side effects than men do. We really do. So,
Yeah.
male bodybuilders, like I've had some that have messaged me, or I've seen like some of the comments on bro chat and stuff where they were talking about how they didn't like it and it's not for everyone, but it's like, guys, like, you guys taking this stuff, you're just risking your organ health, right? You're risking your organ health, your longevity. You're not also risking your ability to be a man. I think if these drugs transitioned you into a female,
You
you
think
guys
twice
would
about
would
it.
probably not be doing this, or you probably would do it in a very different way, right? These
100%.
drugs actually transition us into being a male, into changing our sex. So there's risk there. And I think it's smart, and I think it's going to make the look of competing more marketable, because bikini's headed in a way, like, let's be real, bikini's headed in a way that's not marketable, not to a
Yeah.
mass audience. Like, it's headed to a point where I think in the future I could see all the top Olympians and pros being fully viralized.
Hmm.
I think they're going to try to retain that more feminine look, but you kind of get what you get when it's so competitive, and
Yeah.
people are going to do whatever they can to get an advantage.
Yeah.
So,
And too, like I've heard, I've listened to a number of podcasts, and it's like when competing for women was at the highest was that 2012 to 2016 look, when it was feminine. It was a muscular fit model look, right? And that is when divisions were at their height for women. And then it really just escalated from there. And now you see that literally the number of competitors in the female divisions has literally plummeted. And it's like, because girls know that this look, while maybe unattainable isn't the right word, but to do what it has to take, yeah, to do what it takes to get to that spot is unattainable. It's not appealing anymore. And like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I love a good muscular look, but it's like, do I want to look like that? Yeah. Do I want to do what it has to take to get there? No, I have other goals in life than to be super muscular, right? I want to be a mom. I want to have a family. That means more to me than having this super muscular look to win Olympia. So it's like, this division gives that good balance and really just shines light on, like, you can be a part of this sport and be successful and not have to do the unthinkable or unspeakable.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, and I think there's still going to be people using
That are still
Anavar
a
and all that.
100%. Yeah.
But it's going to, I mean, I think where, and this is maybe a little bit more of like, who is this look for? Who is this division for? I think it's great for those that are, say, brand new, maybe don't have as much muscle, maybe they're new to fitness. But I think it's also for those that want to stay natural or don't want to have to constantly be increasing their drug use to get better and better results. Like for myself, I mean, you and we've talked about this. I think we've shared very openly. It's like I have my concerns. I'm a THC user, so to some extent, I know my voice is a little bit of that, but it's also it's changed over the years, and it's some of that is age, but some of that I can surmise is probably other things too. And I know I'd be devastated if my physical appearance started changing. Like I know you and I have talked about this. If my jawline started
Hmm.
growing, if my hairline started disappearing, or receding backwards, I would feel really upset. I'd feel really upset. So I think this is a great division for those that do want to stay natural. Natural bodybuilding is still bodybuilding. Like you and I both got
100%.
into the sport as natural athletes. For myself, I know when I got into it, and I imagine a lot of women who started competing around when I did, I didn't know that drug use was involved. Like I didn't really know if bikini competitors used anything. I figured the bigger girls did, and I figured the guys did. But I'm like, this is bikini. These are small ladies. Like they look nice. I don't see anything weird on them, so I'm assuming they're not. And then over time, maybe there wasn't so much. It started evolving, it started changing. And I think a lot of us, and I think part of why there's also maybe, I think there's been a little bit of anger or frustration or animosity, more so from bikini competitors too. I think there are women who probably feel like they made choices they wouldn't have made if they had a different option.
Yeah.
And I think there's a little bit of like regret and maybe anger and sadness behind that, because I'm sure if there was another option available, a lot of us would
Would
have
have.
made different choices, or
Yeah.
wouldn't have felt the need to, go so extreme, or wouldn't feel the need for that crazy of a look. Like bikini, it's getting a lot leaner, a lot more muscular. I don't know about you, Sammy, but like when I'm stage lean, like I do not feel sexy at all. Like I do not
No.
feel feminine. I do not feel cute if I'm dating a guy. that can be a very hard time to like keep sex life like good and
Yeah.
going when you're that, not just from a hormonal perspective, but like when I have no body fat on me, like I don't feel very womanly.
Yeah.
And that's like where bikini competitors get. It's like it looks like we might be more sexy or voluptuous just because you can see all of our glute muscle, but it's like there's no fat anywhere.
Yeah, and
It's
it's
like,
just like you're literally a skeleton. It's so funny because Chris and I talk about that all the time, and like he's never negative. Like obviously he's very supportive with what I
yeah,
do,
of
so it's
course.
never in a negative or like putting me down. But we've always agreed, like, all right, when we're at the X amount of week mark, we're like, okay, this is when things start to get weird, and like it's just not appealing,
Yeah.
right? Like, and again, like it's never in a negative way, but it's like a mutual agreement, like that we're like, okay, now we're looking like a skeleton, like just having some body fat, but still maintaining a lean physique. Like, yeah, that's nice. Is it ideal? No, obviously, we're still in the thick of prep, right? But it's like when we get to that like 4 week out mark and you're like a complete skeleton, your face is sunken, you have extra just everything, and like it's just not fun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So, yeah, so I think this the fit model division, like who it's for, is going to be for those that, yeah, do want to stay natural or don't want to be as extreme with protocols or even just with the look, right? Like just
mhm,
not taking it that far. And this is something I might even try myself. Like I might try this division when they start the pro shows in 2026 because every year they're always telling me like you look amazing, you look beautiful, but like more muscle.
yeah,
And I can't, like, it's been very challenging, and I've been maybe more conservative in with protocols and things, but it's been very challenging to try to keep up and to always feel like, you're not meant for this. Like I'm too tall, I'm too lanky for a bikini now. So for those women that are taller or just naturally have less muscle or, are just getting started, again, it gives them this entry level point to just jump in and see how they do and not feel pressured to do or be anything they don't want to be.
yeah.
So I think it's a great division for a lot of women.
Yeah, for sure. And you kind of touched on it, but it definitely gives natural competitors a less intimidating approach to the NPC. And again, like even when Tyler was talking about it, like this is still a business. Like people have to understand, like, this is the way some people make a living, right? Like the NPC and IFBB leagues, it is a business, right? It's a business that yes gives opportunity to others, but in at the end, it is a business, right? And as a business, you're always going to do something to continue to grow, to continue to provide for your customers, your clientele, whatever it is, but also keeping you as a business and your success as a business in mind, right? So everyone's like, oh, I don't get it. And it's like, well, every business needs to grow at some point, right? Bikini didn't exist at one point, men's physique didn't exist at one point, but it's now the forefront of the industry, right?
Mhm.
So you're always going to evolve and grow in some way. And this really just gives a lot of girls, because I know, I mean, I've had so many girls come to me and they're like, well, I'm a natural competitor. Like, do you think I can do it? And it's like, yeah, you can do it if you're willing to put in the time. Like, and that's just what it's going to be. It's going to be time.
Mhm.
You can be successful as a natural competitor. There's no reason you can't be. But this just gives them more of an opportunity without having to second guess themselves or really doubt themselves, to be able to go through a prep and actually be confident and excited about what they're bringing to stage, instead of being backstage and seeing all of these girls who, like you said, are first time competitors stepping on stage for the first time, looking like they've probably just ran a cycle for the last 2, 3 years. And it's
Yeah.
like, are you true novice at that point? Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, if you've been running cycles for 3 years to get ready for this, and then you look like a pro already, like, yeah, you're a
Yeah.
novice, um, yeah, it's interesting. So I think you're right. It's not that you can't, and that's the other thing too, I guess maybe it's worth clarifying. Like, I don't think that you can't be successful in bikini naturally. I think it just depends on how you define success. Like, if success is a pro card, I think that's still doable, but it's going to take a lot more time. Like you need a good amount of muscle mass. If you are a college athlete, you're probably going to have a little bit of a head start, but you're going to need a lot of muscle mass. And then you've got to bring the right conditioning, which is harder to do naturally. But I think it's still doable. Most people are not that patient though. Most people would not be willing to dedicate years and years and years to this to do that. So that's why I think there is so much drug use in bikini, but most of my athletes are natural. And for all of those that have like come close to pro cards, etc., like those ladies were all like almost all of them are natural. And so I know it's possible to do well at the NPC level, to win overalls at the NPC level natural, but sometimes it's like you also have to get lucky with the lineup, who's in the show. So I just think that this presents another option. And I think especially for my tall gals where they do want to see so much muscle mass, like something like this is a great start. And models, like when we think of a traditional model, like usually we think runway model. So I just think naturally too, when you're tall, it's more of a model type body. So I think it's good. I think it's going to be exciting. And this division is going to evolve. Don't forget that. Like we just had wellness come out a few years ago, and wellness evolved. They figured out the look. They kind of, for a year or so, I think they felt like they overshot the mark with muscularity. And Sandy and the rest of the judges kind of reined that in. And you've seen a lot of the athletes that were getting really big everywhere kind of downsize and streamline a little bit to fit the specific look that they made really clear of, like, okay, it's Francielli, it's Issa, this is wellness, this is the look. And Fit Model is going to have its same glow up. Like I imagine probably in a year or two, I bet the bikinis are going to have bling on them. Like I bet they're not going to be plain bikinis. So
yeah,
I'm sure you've gotten a lot of questions or flack for it working at Toxic Angels.
Yeah, and that was like a hard, and we'll kind of touch on that just a little bit. That was like a hard transition there too, because everyone was trying to like jump the gun on like, we're making Fit Model suits, and it's like, okay, that's great, but like, what's the criteria? So like the Toxic, we were like waiting. We were literally, Margaret was talking to Debbie Manning, like trying to really, she's like, I'm not going to produce a suit unless I know it is 100%, 110% what the criteria is. She's like, I'm not going to come out and say that, hey, this is what we're doing, and then, have to make a ton of adjustments. So she was literally working hand in hand with Debbie Manning, like making samples, sending them to her for approval, asking for this, asking for that, things like that. So we finally have it locked down. So it's definitely more of a swimsuit style bikini. We definitely evolved already in the fact that we can do scrunch butt.
I saw that.
Which is great because it's so much more flattering than, because like you have to think, if you have someone wearing just like your average mid-cover swimsuit and you're judging their glutes, you can't really see them.
It's like all covered. Yeah, it's like all covered.
Exactly. So you need a little bit of scrunch to have a little bit of shape there. But they did say, so no rhinestones and plain fabric, so you can do metallic. So for Toxic, we're thinking that's just our tricot fabric, which is, think of something like that. Well, obviously this is like really off the walls, but like plain, just like tricot matte fabric, and then metallic, which is our like Toxic.
Hollow.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's hollow, because hollow is a little bit more
I see. You're right.
Blingy. So it might just be the Toxic fabric. Like this gives that like metallic look.
Like the Toxic teal or the Toxic emerald or Okay.
So we're still waiting on confirmation for hollow fabric, but no velvets, no bling, just plain fabric. And then no connectors either. So you can do just a regular like bikini bottom side, or you can do the adjustable sliders, which I think is great. Because it gives you a little bit more use of your suit, right? When you have the ability to adjust it.
Because you can't have ties on the suit.
Correct. No ties.
So so if you wanted to adjust, the sliders are probably the way to go.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
yeah, I'm excited.
I'm
gonna meet Kat tomorrow to go get fitted in one, so they have a tall person to try them on.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what one looks like. Maybe I'll try to get like a little bit of content or something.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. So
for sure. Let's talk about the differences, because I feel like this is the gray area that people, and we did intend to do a question box. So we're going to do a question box for our next episode. It's just going to be like a Q&A episode. So we'll include like Fit Model questions in there too, but differentiating the physique between bikini and Fit Model, especially for a newer athlete. How would you say that criteria differentiates? Like how is someone going to know whether they're for one or the other?
Yeah. So, and there's going to be a lot of women, to be fair, Sammy, that could do both. So if we differentiate the physique itself, the shape is the same. These are both, this is, bikini present day and bikini from 2015 is what we're talking about. So these are both an hourglass shape. That's what we're looking for. So we're looking for a toned flat stomach The difference is going to be the amount of muscularity, the amount of development, and also the leanness and conditioning on stage. So those with more muscle, those that carry more muscle mass should do bikini. If you're that lower body dominant person, maybe wellness. For fit model, it's going to be smaller muscularity or just a smaller appearance. So that's where taller ladies, we tend to look smaller when we diet down because we have such long limbs and long torsos. So that type of body could do well in a division like this. And for some of I've got a few clients actually that are going to prep this year that are taller, and I'm suggesting that they do both. If they can swing 2 shows, we're going to kind of do fit model on the way down, because that's the other thing. Fit model is not intended to be as lean. We're not looking, they don't want to see glute ham tie-ins. So you know how we all get so obsessive with our tie-ins. They don't want to see tie-ins. So you do not need to get that lean. They want to see you. There should not be any pockets of like grabbable fat on you. And this is not from NPC guidelines, but this is just like from a coach's perspective. There shouldn't be any grabbable body fat. Like your stomach should be flat and lean. Your lower back should be flat and lean. Your glutes should also be lean enough so that if you do a walk to the back, they're not jiggling. They're just up and muscular, but we're not looking for that sharp teardrop tie-in. So it's also, for those that maybe their muscle mass is kind of somewhere in between, or they're not sure, and maybe they just, maybe they had a prep that was really rough. Maybe they don't want to diet that hard too. Okay, that might be a good sign that fit model is good for you. Maybe you're a little traumatized from your last prep and you'd like to do a little less cardio. Maybe you'd like to eat more. Okay, that could also be a good indication that fit model is for you.
Yeah.
The one tricky thing, this is maybe a tangent, Sammy, but we'll talk about this when we meet up, is the OG bikini front pose that they're going to have us do for fit model. It is unflattering to create an hourglass shape in most women. And the reason why is when you do this pose, especially from the perspective of not like looking at a stage shot, but being there in person, that pose is very lower body dominant.
Yeah.
Because your legs are much closer to the judges and to the audience than your upper body is. And the way you're standing, it just creates the look of more size in the legs. Yeah. And so unless you are a bikini competitor or a person who is very upper body dominant, that pose will make you look imbalanced.
Yeah.
Like I know when I did that pose back in 2017, the first year I competed, because I did it at my first 2-3 shows, I think. It made me look, I was already lower body dominant. It made me look even more so. My best friend Kaylee, who also competed with me around the same time, and she was my posing coach when I turned pro, she did it too, but because she was an upper body dominant person, it actually made her look really nice. She looked very balanced top to bottom. Me, I switched sooner than she did to the traditional front pose we have now, because that one looked better on me.
Yeah.
So there was this point around 2018-ish, 2019 is when we were all kind of deciding which pose to do. And that's when everyone started switching to the one we have now, because most people realized, oh, this is a better pose to create hourglass shape. So I even think this pose, like this front pose, that people are like, oh my gosh, this is like not cute. I think it could evolve. We don't know where this division's going. It might stick, just the way wellness posing hasn't really changed. But we never know. You never know what might happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely think because again, you have to remember all of these criterias were put in place, all of these expectations, things like that, but it hasn't been seen on stage, right? And until it gets seen on stage and actually put into logistics, that's when we're going to start to see small changes here and there. And I feel like people need to remember to get the information from the source, because everyone and their mother, the second this division was announced, wanted to, and rightfully so, marketing is marketing, being relevant in the industry is being relevant in the industry. I am not, blind to that, but everyone started talking about it. Everyone started formulating their own opinions. Well, if you're not getting your information from the source and people are just reiterating what information they were given, that's when things can start getting twisted and things like that. Just as an example, them banning the wellness V. Did you hear about that? Well, that was never even confirmed.
Really?
Never. Literally never came from NPC. They had mentioned that the V's were too small. They needed to have more coverage. That was the only comment that was made.
Mhm.
Is that a lot of the girls that were at NPC Nationals that had the wellness V front didn't have the proper coverage. And that could be for a number of reasons, right? It could be, and this is a side tangent. Sorry, this has nothing to do with Fit
No,
Model, but
this
very
is good to
relevant
know.
information. So a lot of the girls at NPC Nationals had very low cut bikinis, right? It could be a number of things. They borrowed it from someone. They ordered it online themselves. The person that was sizing them for a suit didn't know what the criteria was or doesn't have, the knowledge to fit them properly. So like literally people were spilling out on stage
Oh
and Debbie
gosh.
was like, absolutely not, like this is not it. So
Like
she had
like
made
lady parts like
lady
spilling out.
parts on stage. So it's like, it was just a comment of like, girls need to have better coverages on their suits. It was never, this suit is being banned. We don't want this on stage anymore. And then it literally became this whole thing, Reddit threads, all this shit. And then as that's happening, Fit Model Division gets released, and it's like all of this new information is coming at once. So it was like, make sure you're getting information from the source is what the important
Yeah.
fact is here. And it's
Yeah.
like, if Tyler Manning is not sitting at his desk with that IFBB NPC sign behind him and speaking it out himself out of his own mouth, it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah, or
You know?
if it's not on the website somewhere. So I had a feeling, because I hadn't seen anything, that might not be a real thing.
Yeah.
The one thing I did hear is that they're going to be checking suits at
Yes.
shows now. I heard that. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
been confirmed.
So they did mention that for Fit Model. If their suit bottoms are like a thong, if they're too small, they will not let
Okay.
the competitors on stage. I
Okay.
don't know if that happens like at check-ins or if the expediters
Okay.
are checking for that backstage. They didn't really like specify that, but they were very adamant on like, if you are not wearing the right suit, you will not step on stage.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah. I heard that NPC competitors like Bikini and stuff would get their suits checked, because that used to be a thing that happened, at least at national shows. Yeah, we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens in 2025, or maybe there will be some more announcements or things like that. I had no idea that girls were just busting out of their suits.
Yeah.
That's not good. And also, like, why I just wonder, it's like, as the athlete, like, how did you not know? Like,
And how would you like, how many times did you pose in front of a mirror in your suit? How many times did you send check-ins to your coach in your suit? And like, neither one of you, no one along the way was like, this doesn't look right. Like,
yeah,
come on.
yeah, for sure. For sure.
Like,
It's a
I
little,
have
that's,
extra high plus 0.5 and I'm still like, am I okay? Like, and I have plenty of coverage on my suit and I'm still like, is everything okay?
yeah.
So it's like, to not have that and not think twice about it.
Yeah, or I just remember, like, when I started competing, we didn't even have the higher rises, so I remember my suit sitting so low. Not like width-wise, but like just sitting super low, and I was always so nervous about it, right? So it was
Yeah.
like super nervous, like very vigilant of it, like would definitely bikini bite the front of my suits before I'd go out on stage, because I was so aware of it. So yeah, it surprises me that somebody would be like spilling out of their suit and not even having the awareness of like what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So
Wow.
crazy.
Wow. Wild times at NPC Nationals.
Literally.
Yeah. There was a girl, what was it, 2 years ago? We figured this out. There was a girl at Tampa, not this year, but the year before, who like the back coverage wasn't enough. And yeah, showing your private parts from the backside to the judges. That's, yeah, those photos have been pulled down
Wild.
for good reason. But yeah, it's wild. So, in terms of differentiating the two, I think that's where we got off on this tangent a little bit, Sammy. Is there anything else you would say in between, like potentially differentiating this category with bikini?
I do know that the one thing that they had mentioned is capped shoulders. So I think that just kind of goes along with muscularity overall.
Yeah.
But in addition to no tie-ins, I think capped shoulders was a big one for the differentiating between the two that, stood out to me. But I
Yeah.
think you kind of nailed it with everything that you've mentioned.
Yeah. And up until, I mean, to be fair too, up until like 1 year ago for bikini, we weren't supposed to have cap shoulders.
Yeah.
Like in the last year, we have cap shoulders. But before that, they weren't capped. I don't know.
which honestly, that's my favorite part. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to complain there,
Well,
but
it was like a running joke. It seemed like a running joke for like years. We all, as bikini competitors, had cap shoulders. We knew you needed cap shoulders, but it was like the refusal to say like, oh no, bikini competitors can't have cap. It's like, no, we do. We do.
yeah.
We all do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And it's crazy too. Like I know, and I don't know that I fully agree with this, respectfully, of course. Tyler had made the comment, like, if you've ever seen a bikini competitor in person, they're not as big as they appear to be in photos.
That's true. That's a true statement.
It is, I do think, to a degree, it is a true statement. So it's like you can have a lot of dense muscle and still be tiny. But I remember, like, even this year, because like I feel like this year was like my first year that I did like a lot of pro shows. I would stand backstage and be like, I'm small. Like, and I thought I had, which granted, my physique has improved a lot. So, like, I'll give that to myself. But, like, I was like looking at the density of like these 4D glutes that are sitting backstage and these shoulder, like, and like when I saw them in person or when I would see them in photos, I'm like, yeah, like they do look really big. And then I would see them backstage and I'd be like, you are like physically a tinier person, but like you still have really full muscle,
Mm-hmm.
but you're still super freaking lean.
Yeah.
So like it is this crazy illusion. So it's like,
Mhm.
yes, like I agree and slightly disagree at the same time.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things, Sam, like I totally get what you're saying. I want to clarify it a little bit because I know a good amount of our listeners are NPC competitors.
Yeah.
Bikini athletes are definitely smaller than you realize, but you're right. A lot of times, like what happens is like you might see, let's say you see one of your favorite pros for the first time in person. I remember having these moments myself and just being like, oh my God, her legs are like this big. Like I can't even, like tiny, right? But you look at them and their muscle is completely filled out on their frame. Like you look at them and you're like, these like top pro girls or like, top 10 of the Olympia, think like that. Like there's no more room to put glutes on that frame at that point. Like all
Mm-hmm.
the glutes can do is maybe get a little denser, maybe a little more in the upper area, but like you look at these women or you look at their shoulders and you're like there's no way you could put any more muscle there. Like your body is completely maxed out. And so someone like that in photos and in videos will look huge even if they're 5'1" and 90 pounds on stage. We know that's a tiny person, right? We know like Ashlyn was maybe a good example. Like someone like her,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to meet her in person and you're going to realize, wow, she's really petite. Like she's really a tiny person, but she's just super muscular and she's filled out. And so you see photos of her, you see videos, and she looks jacked because she is. But she's a very tiny human. And you're going to probably, if you've never met her in person, you'd probably see her and say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize.
Yeah. And I feel like people look taller on stage. I feel like that is a big thing too. It's like most competitors are somewhere between 5'1" and like maybe 5'4". And that is like the big mix, especially in the pro league.
In the
Like
pro league.
we start to fan out after 5'5". Like there
Yeah.
is far and few between of us
Yeah.
that are past that 5'5" height.
Yeah.
So like the good majority is somewhere from like even 5 foot to 5'4". And it's like when we have 4-inch heels, now they're 5'5", so they look taller. And then it's just, yeah, the illusion of what we look like on stage is definitely not accurate
Yeah.
or like reality.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So
For sure. It's a paradox. Like one thing I always say
for
about
sure.
this is just prepping in general. The paradox of prep is the smaller you get, meaning the leaner you get, the less body fat you have, the bigger you look. So the
Mm-hmm.
smaller you get, the leaner you get, the bigger you look in photos, on Instagram, on stage, because all of a sudden your muscles are completely visible. Everything is visible. So all of a sudden you look like a jacked like ball of muscle, but you're actually physically and weight wise a lot smaller than when you started your prep. So it's a paradox.
For sure.
But yeah, I'm super excited for it. So my personal game plan is I'm going to see how things go with bikini this year, kind of stick to my guns, stick to the approach I feel good about. At some point I'll chat about who I'm going to be working with and kind of what I think I'm going to do this year. But if I'm still way undersized, yeah, I think I might jump into fit model in 2026, depending on what I have going on, because yeah, Yeah, as you know, it's a challenge to try to keep up. It's a challenge to try
Yeah.
to keep up with the muscle
And
mass.
two, I feel like you're a great role model and person to kind of step into that light and like say, you do fit model and you just like skyrocket to have, I feel like to have a well balanced, like just a good person with a good head on their shoulders to head a new division, I think is a great like opportunity. So I think there's so much room for opportunity there for the division and for you in general.
Thanks, love.
So
Thank
that would
you.
just be super exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, babe. I think so too. Like I was kind of thinking about it as well, and for myself, like this might be for me personally, and I know people are upset about this and whatnot, but for me personally, and I think for a lot of women, this division could really be a blessing. And I think for a lot of women, it will be a blessing because it gives them an option where they don't feel pressured to use steroids. And I
Yeah.
think that's important. I also was kind of thinking about it, like, yeah, if I do compete, I feel like kind of the way that the Masters Olympia coming back and including other divisions besides bodybuilding was like an opportunity for Jess, right? Or some of these
Hmm.
other really great, or like Janine. I love Janine's physique and she got second to Jess. Some of these Masters women who look absolutely incredible. So in that same way, having this new division might shine a light on those of us who are taller than 5'9", or those that just, want to compete naturally,
Yeah.
want to be smart and love this sport, but maybe don't love it enough to want to constantly use exogenous hormones.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be cool. And us as coaches, right? Again, your point, I think Tyler Mannion is a very savvy business person. I think this was a great move because yeah, you're going to attract a lot of new people into this sport. I've always, and part of the reason why I mentioned most of my clients are natural is I still always prefer NPC shows. Even when I'm prepping people who are natural, I want to put them in NPC shows because I want them to have competition. Not everyone in bikini is using steroids. I still think there's a lot of natural competitors out there, but also just the production of the show quality. It's better. It's a better experience. It's more fun. It's more fun when you have a good environment. It's more fun when you have a cool stage and a great DJ and
And
lots of
multiple
vendors and
people
an
competing.
actual crowd, right? You're not like in someone's backyard, or you're not like, one of the shows this year was at a library. Like I went to a natural show at a library. Yeah, it was in the auditorium of the library, but it was, you get what I'm getting at,
Still,
right?
yeah.
So I just think it's going to provide like very cool opportunities for a lot of women and to stay in the NPC. And then some of these ladies naturally they might see some of the figure girls or wellness or bikini pros or whatever and decide, oh, you know what, I want to grow more muscle, I want to move on. And so it's like it's a great way to just introduce a lot more women, a lot more people into the sport. And guess what? Like I've had guys complain to me about this. It's like, guess what, guys are probably going to do the same thing for you. It might just take a little longer.
Yeah.
For women, there's a lot more on the line for us. There's a lot more at stake. Your point, Sammy, about which I didn't really think about, but you're spot on, like the fact that all the female divisions were just like shrinking. That's a fair point. The male divisions are not necessarily doing that or not at the same rate.
Yeah.
So I think the guys, like you guys will probably have a, men's physique light or men's beach body pretty soon too. Like I
Yeah.
think that's got to be around the corner for them because the men's physique guys are huge. And let's be real, that's
Hmm.
not really an entry level division for them either.
Anymore. Yeah.
So I think Tyler made a great move and I think it's going to be great for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited. Again, it just provides a lot more opportunity for a lot more people. And to like, how many girls I've spoken to, they're like, I've been training to get on stage for 2 or 3 years, and they're like, I almost don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So people get so discouraged and they're like, I don't even think this is for me anymore. But they have the dedication, they have the motivation, they have the consistency and everything to do it. It's just that it takes them longer. And like you said, no one has the patience for that. So it definitely just gives a lot more opportunity. And like the word that comes to mind is hope. Like there's more hope for people.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
definitely a good business move. And it just all around, the more information we have on it, better it sounds.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm stoked. So I'll have to take some photos or videos in my fit model suit tomorrow when I meet up with Kat.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely send them to me. I want to see what it looks like.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Other than that, I feel like we've covered this topic pretty well without outsider questions. Is there anything else, Sammy, you feel like we need to touch on or should touch on that we haven't?
Not that I can think of. I feel like we went over who it's for, what the criteria is, the ability for evolution, things like that. So if anybody has any other questions, definitely keep an eye out on Laura, myself, and the Bikini Things Instagrams in the next couple days. We're going to be posting question boxes for next week. So if you have fit model specific questions, bikini evolution questions, literally anything and everything, that'll be the opportunity to ask so that we can answer your question.
Yeah. And I'll include the link to the NPC News Online guidelines as well, because that is the info from the source. So as
And
always,
we'll do anonymous question boxes too, just in case someone has very specific questions. We'll always give that anonymous option as well.
for sure. For sure. So as always, thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review if you're listening on an audio platform. And as always, share with a friend so the podcast can grow. We appreciate you, the listener, so much. We want to keep bringing you great episodes, great guests. So the more we can grow, the better we can do that. As always, have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.